I had a dream once. Well, it was more like a nightmare. I was in the middle of the deep blue during a thunderstorm. The waves pushed my tugboat in every direction, maybe to help me make a decision, or maybe to end all of my decisions. During this nightmare, the sun never rose, the rain never stopped, and my tugboat simply moved forward, an aimless path, not paved but drawn over miles of water. The darkness speaks volumes to a solo only protected by one light beam and a fragile wooden barrier. Will I collapse into the depths of the ocean and be forgotten forever? Or will I simply keep moving forward? And that's when suddenly I could hear birds and the warmth of the sun against my skin. And then I woke up. It was a brand new wipe, and I was excited. Something was telling me, check harbor for any tugboats. So I grabbed this horse and I made my way to the closest harbor. Only a few spawned, and here they were already taken. I had my eyes set on a tugboat, but finding one was much harder than it seemed. After looking and looking, finally, there she was. Now, I didn't know much about the tugboat. All I knew was that I wanted one. But as you'll see, I have my fair share of issues before I'm able to successfully take it. I recycled as much as I could so that when I got into the tugboat, I'd be ready to leave with it. The tugboat directly in front of the one I wanted to take was causing quite a bit of trouble and making it hard for me to take it. But when I found a moment of silence and was able to get inside, I realized I couldn't place down any doors. So without wasting too much time, I decided to just drive off way out in the distance so that I could peacefully figure out this tugboat. And as soon as I was away from land, I instantly felt calmer. Out here in the ocean, with the waves crashing and the sun beaming down, I was fully at peace. And when I was far enough and felt comfortable to experiment, I began trying to figure out why I couldn't place down a door. And then I figured it out. Suddenly, this boat was mine. And as the sun was almost fully set, I decided to leave the boat right where it stood and head down into my room. Down here, I began to organize. What I didn't realize was that I had run out of fuel out in the middle of the ocean, so I swam back to shore and began farming. I just needed enough fuel to bring the boat back to shore, but as I farmed, I stayed cautious. Other tugboats were active and they were close by. Finally, I was back at the wheel, and I was ready to bring her back to shore. I didn't want to worry about low grade all throughout the wipe, so I decided to break up the crude oil that I had and make periodic missions to the oil refinery at harbor until I maximized my fuel. Living out in the ocean, fuel was the most important thing I needed. resources I collected, the more I was able to upgrade. But I continued to take portions of crude oil to the refinery, but each time I did, danger was waiting. And while the oil cooked, I farmed. And in the corner of my eye, I saw something.
Oh, I didn't mean it. Hey, I didn't mean it. How do you shoot me through the chainmail? Kinda sus, man. Kinda suspicious. How do you shoot me through the chainmail? Kinda sus, buddy. Kinda sus. I'll get my whole clan on you. I'll get my Russian third.
What I was doing seemed to be working, so I dropped off what I collected. And I cooked up the remainder of my crude oil, but fell short because of the amount of wood I had. This was most likely all I would need to make it to end game. And when it was fully dark, I got into my boat and I drove off into the night. riding out deep into the ocean reminded me of a dream I once had, except this time there was no storm. My mind was clear, the stars were shining, and the moon was bright. My boat had fuel, and I was warm and safe, and so I rowed out further and further into the ocean, away from the chaos of the world, into a place that welcomed a peaceful mind. And this is where I decided to park my tugboat, out in the middle of nowhere, a place where no one could find me. I took advantage of the night and organized my loot. And while I was cooking up some meat, I reflected. A friend of mine has been getting into Rust lately, and he wants me to show him the ways of the game. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Would you like to see a duo with me and a friend? It would be my first time duoing, and your first time seeing it. So let me know what you think. And on this clear night, while my furnace was cooking, I climbed to the top of the tugboat and looked out at the beautiful sky. A night so cozy, a view that could only be experienced from something like this. I have to say, the tugboat is a new favorite of mine. Now, as you can tell, getting a start with the tugboat isn't that easy as a solo, especially on a server like this. But we, us streamers, we make it happen. And this is the point when my wipe begins to shift. Now, I have some resources. I have a decent amount of cloth. I can make many arrows. So, it was time to take the wipe to the next level. And as I stepped out of my base, I noticed the sun was rising. It was the perfect sign that I needed to get work done. And as I bandaged, in preparation for what was to come, I began to plan out my journey. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thanks to my YouTube members. This was part 1. I'll see you all next week as we continue the story. Our community of like-minded people is growing, and I'm so happy to see that. And as we grow, the year is coming to an end. Let me know down in the comments below. Are you excited to see a New Year's movie? You've been watching an Orange Dream production.